It's Saturday morning, live from across the Bostik Leagues. This is Back of the Net, where your weekend football begins.
You must be really pleased with the progress.
Yeah, we started quite strongly, but it's a long season, as we all know. So we're just going to keep trying, plugging results out.
When you changed things around in the summer, what were the key points that you needed to do at this football club to ensure that you were up where you are now?
I think we were just missing goals. We was relying too much on Daniel Akaji. Me and Q identified that we needed another 2 strikers minimum for competition, and we needed probably another 35 goals added to last season's tally, what we ended up with to get the goals we needed to get in the playoffs. And
it's been, has been some rise this season. You look around you and there's the team that are coming today, Greenwich Borough, a bit of money that they've got, and they're quite, obviously there's been no admission from them that they're looking for promotion this season, and Gary Alexander has obviously been set that target. Teams like coming today, you must be thinking, this is an opportunity for us again to set our stall out this season and show that we're going to be there for the long run.
Gary's got a lot of quality in his group there, and the pressure's on them. If I'm being honest, they're expected to be in the top 2 or definitely in the playoffs, worst case scenario, to get promoted, and there's no pressure on us. We've got some good boys. We've got a great 100% record at home. We've won every game here. I think it's 7 this season, and we don't fear anybody here, so we'll go at them today.
When does that? You mentioned there's no pressure on you. When does that change in the season? So is there a point? And I'll ask Mick this in a moment as well. Is there a point where, come January, February, if you're still in the position you are, that then it would be a disappointment to everybody at the club if you didn't reach the playoffs?
I think it's a progression, really. If we're in a position in January, February, in the top 6, which I hope we are, then I think you put the pressure on yourself, wouldn't you say, Koo? You put it on yourself, and the players will obviously be under bits of pressure in certain games, but it's just to improve season on season. When I took over last season, I can't remember exactly where it was, but we was down the bottom somewhere, and we finished 14th, which was a progression on the season before. I think they'd finished 15th or 16th, something like that. So that's one step, and then this year it's to get in the playoffs. Budget wise, the budget is not big at all. If we're talking middle of the table budget, but the players here have loved this club. They love playing for the club. There's great people here, so that what attracts, and we have great training facilities where we've got the 3G. We can put on great training sessions, work on what we're working on. We've got obviously Koo, who's a highly qualified coach, so that's where we attract a lot of players here.
And Mick, at the beginning of the season, we were talking about the likes of Corinthian Casuals, made the playoffs last year, Greenwich Borough as well, Carshalton, who just missed out last year, but really tipped to go on this season and challenge for those automatic promotion spots. But it's nice to see Whyteleafe up there, also Sittingbourne as well, have done ever so well to be where they are. Yeah,
it's a competitive league, as always has been in the South. As we did speak early season, Ben, didn't we? I did say about Whyteleafe, I'd put the pressure on Lee and Koo to be up there, and they've not disappointed. Of South Park, I'd like to see South Park have just dropped out a little bit. Hopefully they can get the momentum going with Malcolm down there and the boys. But I mean, this is a club that's I've been to many a times. I think I've done all right down here as well. I think that this is the place we came when Merston went up the first season. Our first Ryman fixture was against Whyteleafe, and I think we nicked a 1-0 win. I think KG got the goal, and so this has been a good place for me. I've always enjoyed coming here, always had a good drink afterwards. Hopefully that'll be the same today. These two are being good spirits, hopefully they'll win under their belt. And Q, the buzz in the camp must be great at the moment. That start's always important at the season. If you can get the first 10 games and you can be where you are, there's just something to keep hold of, isn't there, as a group of players?
Yeah, I mean, beginning of the season, in the summer, we spoke about what we were going to do. It's a matter of bringing in the right players with the right attitude, because our attitude is really important, I feel. and I make sure the group, everybody gets on. And to be honest, the group have worked hard over the summer, and that's carried on. So it's all about attitude, good communication, good skills, and just keep working out, get your head down, keep working, and see where it takes us.
And is that, Lee, is that true when you're in this position, 13 games in, 13 games for you in, do you keep that mentality of we're just going to keep going game by game, seeing what we can do, or is it like I've got at the moment, when you've got the table up, you have a quick look around and say, right, how are these teams doing? What are our next few fixtures? These are the games we need to win.
People say you take game by game. I mean, you have to. You can't start looking at 3 or 4 games in advance, because anything can happen in the games before that. So it's game by game, and it's our mentality, the way that myself and Koo transfer that into the players. They know what's expected of them in a game, and what we say is anyone can have a bad game on a bad day, but you just work hard off the ball and make sure you put the effort in. And if you have a bad game, you just take it on the chin and you move on.
Personally, I don't think that's a good way to play it, Ben, to look at games and think what points you're going to get from those games before you've even played them. Very dangerous. I think Lee's got it right, and Koo, play each game as they come along and take what comes.
Well, last season, sorry to interrupt, but last season when I came in, first 4 games, first game was Dorking Wanderers away, so straight into Lions Den, if they say, and it was 2-2. We come away from there with a draw. Then I played East Grinstead away. We beat them 7-2. Then I played, I can't remember, we won that one. Then I went away to Cray and was 2-0 up and threw it away. A couple of individual errors in the last 10 minutes. And then I looked at the next 5 games and I thought, we've got Ramsgate, we've got someone else. There's 9 out of 12, 15 points. Then we lost them all, lost all 5. So I've learnt the hard way.
What about when you're up at the top of the table and you look at the teams around you, does it become a little bit different then? I look at your fixtures now, and either side of Ashford and Guernsey, you've got Greenwich, you've got Carshalton, and you've got Lewis. So you've got 3 of the bigger teams that are in and around you. Do they have more significance with the position that you're in at the moment?
Yes, if I'm being totally honest, you look at them and you think they're going to be a lot tougher, even though we're at home. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's highly unlikely you're going to win every game at home. So we're going to meet a team at some stage that's going to maybe upset us at home. So yeah, they will be harder than, I would say. Greenwich away is a tough game. Sorry, not Greenwich. Guernsey away is a tough game, tough place to go. We went there last year and won 2-0 or 2-1. I think it's the first time this club had beaten them over there. But we've got a stronger group this year. We've just added to what we had last year. So the core 80% of players, 85% of players are still here from last season, because who I brought in predominantly was the ones that wanted to keep, and we just added a bit more quality in the summer. So yeah, we look at the main ones and they'll be tougher. We look at them tougher.
Well, I was just going to say, when you look at the South and the division, you mentioned it's always really tight. Apart from Sittingbourne, who's been a real surprise package this year, you look at the likes of Lewis and Corinthian Casuals and Greenwich, and now Whyteleafe and Carshalton in 9th at the moment. But those are the teams that you expect to be up there at about the end of the season.
You expect, but this is a one-off type of season, isn't it? There's only one going down, so there's not a lot of pressure on the managers that are sort of wavering just below mid-table area, worrying about the bottom 4. So there's a lot of pressure off managers this year, but there's also the golden ticket to go up to Bostik Prem, simply because there's an extra place or 2 this coming season. So all those that are sort of mulling around the centre of the league are thinking that they could get there. So there's a little bit of an extra, I don't know what the best word to describe it, but I call it a golden ticket, let's say, to get up to that next level. It's a one-off. This has happened before many years ago when they restructured the league, and it's happening this season. So there's plenty sort of mulling around just outside there that could do a late run and reach the promised land, let's say.
We'll talk more about the division throughout the show today between now and 1 o'clock. Before we talk about today's game, let's hear from Gary Alexander, the Greenwich Borough manager. Big game for you tomorrow, obviously top of the table clash, and you go into it on really decent form. 4 wins out of the last 4.
Yeah, no, we're picking up. We're moving up nicely. Obviously, it's a tough league. There's some good teams in it, and obviously to be on a run of 4 games in 4 wins in 4 games is obviously confidence boosting.
And Whyteleafe as well enjoying brilliant form themselves. They've been a bit of a surprise package this season. How much do you know about them?
No, we've watched Whyteleafe. We played Whyteleafe from day one of the season. You know, they've got a good manager, they've got good players. There are a few of their players, and they're entitled to be where they are. There's 12 games gone, and you're not at the top of the league for no reason at this stage.
And I talked to you earlier on in the season, said obviously big expectations, and you were saying that, you know, expected to be there or thereabouts all season. Managing those expectations is difficult, especially in this league when it is so tight every game.
Yeah, no, as we said at the start of the season, consistency is key in this league. You know, and everyone beats everyone. You've seen that by the results. It's not easy, but the team with the most consistency will end up winning the league and taking promotion spots. You know, so it's something we have to add to our game and make sure we're one of the most consistent teams to make sure we keep challenging.
How much do you learn about your players as you go through the season? You can put all the plans you like in place at the beginning. Are there still changes perhaps to be made with the current squad and bringing one or two in?
Yeah, we had a couple of different performances over recent weeks, you know, and it wasn't good enough. And I said to the boys, look, if it doesn't liven up, we will make changes. We made one or two additions to the side, and we've gone and won our next 4 games, you know. So it does work, but that's the level we're at. You can do that because a lot of players are not on contract. A lot of players, you can make approaches and you can let people go. You know, I don't like to do that, but if I have to, then I will strengthen, and that's something we have to look into as we progress. But every time we've had a setback, we've also bounced back with a win.
In 5th at the moment, played a couple of games more than some of the teams around you, but is there a point in the season, perhaps Christmas or just after, where you've set a target or set the team a target? Look, this is where I want to be in the top 2 when we get to this stage.
No, we'll just take every game as it comes. We don't look forward. The game we're looking to now is Whyteleafe, you know, and we'll worry about Whyteleafe, and then we'll worry about our next game after we've played Whyteleafe. We're not going to look and go, well, we should be on this many points by the time, because there's no guarantee. By the time we get to certain dates, there's no guarantees, you know, in this league. Everyone beats everyone, and it's a tough league, and we have to respect every team the same as we do any other team, whether they're the team at the top or the team at the bottom.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Whyteleafe game. Obviously, you've got Carshalton on Monday, just a couple of days later, and they're one of the favourites as well. So it's a really tough weekend for you. Yeah,
it's a big weekend, but as I said, it's not make or break. You know, we've put ourselves in a good position. We're 2 points a game at the moment. You know, if we take maximum points, great. If we don't, then it's not a big issue. You know, there's 12 games gone. There's 34 games to go. 32 after the weekend. There's still 96 points up to grabs. You know, and we're on 24. 96 points plus 24 makes 120 a possibility. You know, like it's one of them. So it's not make or break weekend. If we lose, Carl Shaw have lost a couple of games, and you wouldn't expect them to have lost them games, you know, but they have, and that's the nature of the league. So it's not make or break weekend at all. It's hopefully we can go out and get as many points as we can, but it's not make or break.
Your players must love you in and around the dressing room to have that calm approach, and perhaps sometimes when you are in a league that's as tight as this, it's important to look at it that way.
Yeah, no, listen, I have a belief in my team, and as you saying there about changes, I have a belief in my team that I have the best squad in the league and the best team in the league. Whichever team I manage, I always believe that, you know, it's something, it's the way I work, but at the end of the day, there sometimes are games where they don't perform, and you need to shake it up a bit and get a little bit more, a little bit more ruthless, probably, you know, in terms of shaking it up. But as I said, every time my team's putting a poor performance, they know when I'm not happy, and they seem to respond, and that's all I can ask for. You know, it's all about the next game.
Have your say. Get in touch on social media. Just search official BOTN.
Yeah, Lee, it's obviously going to be a tough game this afternoon. You mentioned, you know, a very good side. They've got a really healthy budget. And Gary Alexander's saying there, almost that question that I asked you, he actually said, you know, it's just another game. It's just another game. It doesn't matter whether it's playing somebody at the top of the table or the bottom. It's still 3 points. He also said that he thinks he's got the best team in the league.
Yeah, I'd agree with him. The quality he's got there, you can't argue with that. He's got some very, very good players there, but so have I. And let's see what happens later on today. It should be fun.
Mickey's, we've seen them once already this season. They have got a lot of experience and a lot of quality in that team.
Yes, definitely, but I think he's mixed it up a little bit because the results haven't really come the way I think he was expecting them to come, particularly early doors in the season. It seems that he's done a few tweaks and changes. Obviously, I don't know if you remember that guy that we picked out at Crimpton Casuals. He's now left them. Peter, someone in the middle of the park, big guy, ex-pro. Anyway, he's gone to Glebe as assistant manager. So I think he's revamped a few positions defensively and in the midfield, and obviously it's done the trick. So they've turned the corner a little bit. They've got a run of form coming. That's what makes today very interesting in my books. I love the way that all these managers play it down. But I think I'm going to let them do it this year.
No, it should be a really interesting game. And Koo, do you, knowing the quality that they have, that there's a preparation change in any way to any other game?
No, still the same. I mean, we always, like I say, we always work out on Thursday. Yes, we do our own work in terms of the team we're playing, but we never change anything because obviously we've got results in what we're good at, which is working hard, pressing hard, and obviously creating a lot of chances. So we're not going to change for anybody. And we know if we play to our utmost best, we know that we're going to create goals and score goals. It's a matter of obviously sometimes we need to obviously be more compact, defensively. But as a team going forward, I would say we're probably one of the best teams going out there in terms of creating chances. Whether we take them or not, it's a different matter altogether.
We'll talk more about this game later. Of course, full live commentary from 3 o'clock this afternoon of Whyteleafe against Greenwich Borough, and we'll build up to the game some more between now and 1 o'clock. And it is the Bostik League show as well today, with full highlights tomorrow. Before we do that, let's play the non-league football quiz. We're back to a non-FA Cup weekend that Mick will be pleased about, and we're going to play the quiz now.
The non-league football quiz.
Now, boys, get on for this one.
And then we got our producers that are going to join in as well. Well, Remy, you're not because you wrote the quiz, but Luke's going to have a go at this one today, and Lee and Koo are going to play on individual teams, and of course Mick Sullivan as well. Play along where you are, official BOTN across social media, and if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, just leave us a little comment with some of the answers if you think you know them.
Question 1.
First question today is name the 3 Bostik League teams who progressed to round 1 of the FA Cup. The 3 Bostik League teams who progressed to the first round proper of the FA Cup in a couple of weeks' time.
Easy.
Question 2.
Ramsgate earned their first clean sheet last weekend of the season with a 1-0 win, but who were their opponents? Was it Horsham, Herne Bay or Hastings United? Ramsgate earned their first clean sheet of the season last weekend. 1-0 win, but who are their opponents? Horsham, Herne Bay or Hastings United? Official BOTN across social media.
Question 3.
Former Kingstonian boss Craig Edwards set up a business venture outside of football at the end of last season. But what was it? Was it a vintage tea room, a pool or snooker bar, or a healthy living snack bar? Do you think you know the answer to that one? Former Kingstonian boss Craig Edwards set up a business venture outside of football last season. Was it a vintage tea room, perhaps, a pool or snooker bar, or a healthy living snack bar?
Question 4.
Former Brightlingsea Regent manager has departed from the club after 7 years, having recently joined which Bostik club? The former Brightlingsea Regent manager has departed from the club after 7 years, and he's recently joined which Bostik club?
It's quite a nice one today.
Question 5.
Last one. Which club does Bostik South prolific goalscorer Kimo Darbo play for? Which club does Bostik South prolific goalscorer Kimo Darbo play for?
Any clues?
No clues.
No clues.
Hardest question of the lot.
Yeah.
Well, if Whyteleafe don't get this, these boys, because I ain't got a clue. But if these two get it
We've
wrong,
got an answer.
hold on. Can I ask you to repeat a couple of questions when we finish this? Because
Which questions were you not sure
second
of?
one, just want to remember the teams that they played
Oh,
against.
yeah.
Horsham, Herne Bay or Hastings United. So Ramsgate's clean sheet at the end of the first clean sheet of this season last weekend, and a 1-0 win. But was it Horsham, Herne Bay or Hastings United?
Right, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
We'll come back with the answers after this. Let us know. Official BOTN across social media.
You're listening to Back of the Net, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Times are changing. We now live in a digital world where 9 out of 10 people use the internet to look for local goods and services. Whether in front of a computer at home or on a mobile phone on the go, people expect to find what they want, when they want, quickly and easily. The question is, can your business be found? At Promote UK, we specialise in getting local businesses found online. One highly affordable package will give your business a stunning mobile responsive website, which we guarantee to get to the first page of Google and keep it there. And we take care of everything: copywriting, design, hosting. We even offer unlimited amends all year round for no extra charge. So, whilst you're busy focusing on your business, we're busy making sure it can be found online all year round. Start your Google Page One journey today with a free online health check by visiting promoteUKLimited.com. Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Are you looking for a little bit more than a good meal at a pub? The Half Moon is a hidden gem located in the picturesque village of Charlwood on the Surrey-Sussex borders. Proud of old traditions, this old English pub offers tasty fresh food with locally sourced ingredients, comfortable dining and traditional bar area, as well as a lovely garden for your enjoyment. Evening with friends or lunch with family, whatever the occasion, you can expect our friendly and welcoming staff to help. Half Moon Charlwood. Check out our Facebook page for upcoming events and live music.
Need to refuel? Whether you're heading home or away, get ahead of the game and refuel at Dorking's Service Centre. Dorking's local retailer of quality BP fuel, Costa coffee and food to go. Find us at the traffic lights close to Dorking Halls or at dorkingservicecentre.com.
From Premiership to Playground, MH Goals has everything you need for an outstanding football match, including aluminium and steel football goals, nets, line marking machines, team shelters, boot wipers and much more. Buy with confidence direct from the manufacturer with great prices available across our whole range of sports equipment. What's more, we offer fantastic discounts for all FA affiliated clubs. We pride ourselves on British manufacturing. We make all our football goals here in the UK and conform to the latest British and European safety standards. So call MH Goals direct on 01502 711 298 or visit our online store at mhgoals.com.
Head to backofthenetsouth.co.uk tomorrow morning for video highlights and full match reaction of today's games. Back to your favourite non-league football show, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do. Back of the net, where it matters.
So welcome back to the show this morning. We're live from Whyteleafe Football Club as we build up to their game against Greenwich Borough this afternoon. Top of the table clash. We've just done the non-league football quiz and plenty of conferring during the ad breaks. But we're going to go through the answers now.
This is the non-league football quiz.
So everyone's feeling confident. Let's get on with the answers today.
Question 1.
First question we gave you was name 3 Bostik League teams who progressed to round 1 of the FA Cup. Mick Sullivan, let's start with you.
Well, we had a bit of a conflab in the break, and I know these two have got 2 of them bang on, but obviously I've got the 3 because I know I've got this one. Leatherhead, Billericay, Haybridge Swifts.
Cool, did you get all of those?
No, I've got 2.
Which one did you miss out?
Billericay.
Billericay, forgotten about. What about you, Lee?
I got Haybridge Swifts. I forgot about the FA Cup. Got knocked out of it by Earth. Just forget it. Yeah. I don't care.
Good one. Yeah.
And Luke, what did you got?
All three. Yeah.
Yeah, of course it was Billericay, Leatherheads, which we will be going to for our game in the FA Cup first round, and Haybridge Swifts as well, of course, take on Exeter City. A really good tie for them.
Question 2.
Ramsgate earned their first clean sheet last weekend of the season with a 1-0 win, but who was their opposition? Was it Horsham, Herne Bay or Hastings United? Mick?
Look, I'm not so sure I will get this right, but if these two don't get it right, there's something very, very wrong at this level of football.
No pressure.
So
Cheers, Mick.
the pressure's all on them because I know I've got it wrong. I've just punted for Hastings because I wouldn't be looking at the results so much as what these guys should do.
Q?
I've got Herne Bay.
Lee?
Horsham.
I've gone for Horsham as well.
I can tell you that the answer was Horsham. Ramsgate, first clean sheet of the season, 1-0 win over Horsham.
Come on.
Question 3.
So former Kingstonian boss Craig Edwards set up a business venture outside of football at the end of last season, but was it a vintage tea room, a pool and snooker bar, or a healthy snack bar? What do we think, Nick?
Yes, again, I sort of saw something on Twitter about this, so that's why I think I've got it right. It's a tea room or vintage tea room or whatever.
Okay.
That's what I got, vintage tea room.
Lee?
Tea, yeah.
Yep, it's a tea shop.
So we all know our stuff, and we've done our research on former Kingstonian boss Craig Edwards. A vintage tea room, Tea Island, with his partner in Hornchurch is his business venture.
Question 4.
Former Brightlingsea Regent manager has departed from the club after 7 years, having recently joined which Bostik club?
Averley.
Yeah, I got Whyteleafe.
Yep.
Pretty easy one.
Yeah, James Webster, of course, has joined Averley recently.
Question 5.
Which club does Bostik South prolific goal scorer Kimo Darbo play for? How did you get on with this one, Mick?
No, useless. I don't even want to say what I put down, so I'm just going to scrub it. I'm
Wasn't
saying
Whyteleafe, was it?
nothing. No, I'm saying nothing. I think these two boys, again, should have this right. If they haven't, then I don't know.
Wow, this is a good tactic to make.
Pressure coup.
Yeah.
To be honest, I thought you meant both leagues, so I end up putting Haringey Borough, but I got it wrong because I didn't listen to the question.
At least you're honest. Lee?
I put VCD.
I didn't put an answer down.
Okay, well, Lee, you get the points because it was VCD Athletic that Kimo Darbo plays for. He scored 9 goals out of their 22 goals this season to lead the way in the Bostik South Division 1. And at the end of the non-league football quiz today, what are the scores, Remy?
Okay, so in third place is Koo with 4 out of 5. Not bad. Well, actually, it was 4 out of 7 because our first question.
Yeah.
Oh, so it was all right. In joint second was Mick and Lee, and then in first place, the first win of the season.
But any competition we've ever done on the show.
11 or 12 weeks in now, Luke has finally won.
Thank you.
Yeah, got 6 out of 7.
Well done, Luke. Well done,
Thank
mate.
you.
Can I just say, if Luke's winning this quiz, then it's really easy. It's got to be. I think we need to up the level a little bit because Luke doesn't win anything. But brilliant. Okay, so let us know how you got on with the non-league football quiz today. As we said, official BOTN. If you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, leave us a little comment with how many you scored. Okay, next up we spoke to Anthony Gale, the Wharton Casuals manager, doing really well in the South Division. In 7th position, he's building a young team there, and they've got a new ground. And I caught up with him yesterday.
Yeah, last time I spoke to you, full of optimism. Obviously, new ground. You've moved in now. How are you finding everything?
It's a marvellous opportunity for ourselves to put a stamp on it, if you like, within the local area. The crowds have been fantastic. The people in Wharton are very much getting behind this very young side, and I think it's the good thing, and what they can relate to is how young the team is. So it gives a whole deal or a whole lot of to our youth section that are coming to the games. I mean, with over 450 kids in our youth section, you know, we've got a lot of them attending our games at the moment, and for them to see young players running on the pitch week in, week out with an average age of 20, with being very specific, 21.4, it's an extremely young side. You know, it's everyone's buying into what we're trying to do, and we're playing football in an arena, I think, which will be very much suited to league football.
You mentioned that very specific age, which it was. We're looking at your form right now. It's mixed with losses, draws, wins, losses, draws. Can that just be put down to how young your squad is and that they're developing and learning?
I think one thing I set out to do at the start of the year, and I stressed in interviews and also to everyone within this club, is it's going to be a process. And within that process of it being such a young side, that mistakes are going to be made. The last 2 games, we missed a penalty and 4 1-on-1s against Herne Bay and find ourselves on the back end of a 1-0. And at Ramsgate, we concede in the 90th minute and get a point. So if we go and gain those extra 5 points, we find ourselves sitting third. They're the fine margins, and margins of which I'm going to be patient with, because, you know, you look at us at the start of the season and people don't expect us to be up there and contending with these superpowers. But as I said to these young lads, they're
they can achieve whatever they want to achieve this year, and with the standard they've set so early on, why can't they go and achieve something special this year, as long as they can learn from these mistakes and rectify them?
And you mentioned achieving something this year, a very respectable league position. I know it's early days, but sitting just underneath the playoffs, there's the real carrot there, isn't there, to make the playoffs at the end of the season?
I think that any manager involved in the game of football, not looking to try and achieve something, not just obviously for the team, but for their players as well. And I look at it this year, it's a league full of finance, it's a league full of money, as you can probably see with a lot of the sides trying to chuck a lot of money at it, because there's 2 automatic promotion spaces available, and with the restructuring going on next year, I think everyone sees it as an opportunity. But we stuck to our beliefs this year. Everything has stayed the same within our club, and I back my players' ability as well as my management team's ability to keep producing good results. And the most important thing for us is to keep producing good players and developing good players. As I've said all along, it's not just about our results, it's about producing good players at the end of it, and that's what we are certainly going to do.
And it's a real mixed week for you, because you play Hive Town in the league on Saturday, and then you've got 3 different trophies: the FA Trophy, you've got the Velocity Trophy, and you've got the County Cup. Is there a priority when it comes to those cup competitions?
As I said before, it's all part of the process and about giving players opportunities, and for me, every game is just as important as the next. So from looking at Hive Saturday to then looking obviously to the 2 different trophies, we want to, as I said, develop players and win games of football and play in the right way. And looking at that, the next 2 games are at home. We want to try and keep that home support. We want those people to be coming week in, week out, because it has made a considerable difference playing in front of 33 people. It's very specific, but in between 30 and 40 the last couple of seasons, to now going up to in between 200 and 300, it does make a major difference, especially when you're in tight games of football like we were against Hastings. And it was 1-1, and we had our, I don't think anyone would take away, we deserved to win the game, but that last 10 minutes, when you've got 200 fans on your side, it does get that extra little bit out of you. And I said to the boys, we had 40 fans come up that didn't stop singing against Herne Bay last Saturday, and this is what the boys want. This is what we want as a club, and as I said, it's a real nice feel about the place at the moment. We see it as an experience this last week in losing the 5 points that we have when we feel we should have gained them, but these are mistakes that won't reoccur, and we'll look to build on it. And whether that's in the FA Trophy, whether that's in the League Cup, or whether that's in the league, we'll continue to better ourselves as a management team, and they better themselves as players.
Back of the net, where it matters.
Yeah, Lee, another team that are doing really well with a young squad.
Yeah. He's got some good players in the beginning of the season. He got it's a striker that he's got there. Is it Jack Kelly or Josh Kelly?
Yeah,
from
Kelly.
From Maidenhead's got a lot of people looking at him. People spoke to me about him. Yeah, I've never seen him play, but he's getting goals. He's young, and he's obviously contracted to Maidenhead. But yeah, he's got some good boys in there, to be fair.
And the facilities, Mick, you've been over there and seen it. Have to have the new ground and have everything in place. He mentioned in the interview it's like a football league club.
Yeah, it is. I've been there a couple of times. Not necessarily both have been for Walton Casuals. I went Tuesday night and went and watched Walton and Hersham against Westfield, and that was a cracking game, enjoyable game. But I've walked around there and I've bumped into a few managers at that ground that have gone there to have a little look themselves. And yes, it's fantastic to get the extra support for Walton Casuals, particularly because it's an old club of mine and we go back a long way. But I just feel there's a little bit of it's soulless a little bit, it's sort of like it's so corporate, and the bar doesn't look like a bar. I don't want to be too negative about the place, but I just think it needs a bit more homeliness about it to make it look like it's Walton Casuals football ground rather than just a corporate centre, and that's what really sings out to me. But obviously Anthony is getting the rewards because it's a 4G pitch, and it's they play football and all that's great, and they've got extra support, so that's all brilliant for the club. I do worry about how that can be sustainable, because I gather all that they really get is the gate money, so I don't know where the bar money goes to Elmbridge Council and all those other elements. That's my worry for the club, that there's a heck of a lot to find financially for the gals and for the directors to find weekly. I mean, it's not my issue or my problem, but I just feel, I go there and I see it, and it sort of worries me that they can't be sustained within the area or the club.
If anybody from Walton Casuals wants to come on and clarify the position, we can certainly get you on the phone between now and 1 o'clock, and maybe a suggestion would be just to hang some pictures and some shirts up to make it a bit more homely then, Mick.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, they might well have done so since I was last there, but I just think it just looks too corporate for me and soulless.
So if you're listening from Walton Casuals, you need to go get down to the range or somewhere and get yourself a few hanging pictures for the walls. We'll talk more about this league very shortly. Got an interview with Malcolm Porter, the South Park manager, also featuring the North with Paul Jones, the Walton Abbey manager, and Danny Hill, the Canvey Island manager, between now and 1 o'clock. We're going to have a look at a few of the fixtures that are going round today. And Dorking Wanderers take on Needham Market, 18th in the league. Dorking Wanderers. It's been a real mixed bag of results in October. 2 losses, 1 draw and a victory against 10 men Merstham. Dorking must make the most of their home advantage as they have the next 2 league games away. They visit Folkestone and Worthing early in November. Needham Market are just 2 places below Dorking, and they're on a poor run of form at the moment, losing their last 3. Their results came straight after a heavy 6-1 defeat to Dartford in the FA Cup third qualifying round. However, the Market men have earned wins against Harlowtown, Thurrock and Folkestone Invicta this season, so I wonder if they'll be able to earn some points against Dorking Wanderers. Fascinating tie, because they're both in and around similar positions. Needham Market would be very much hoping they'll be much higher up. Dorking, it's their first season, so they're not going to get judged too heavily this year.
I think they've both got their issues. Unfortunately for Ray, we were up there a few weeks ago, he's had a lot of turmoil go on behind the scenes with 2 key people leaving that club, which I don't think has helped matters, which I'll go into when we talk about our non-league news. For Mark, obviously, he's injury crisis that he's got there, but obviously he's signed Lewis Taylor from Kingstonian this week, and I gather there's probably a few more en route to Dorking Wanderers. So I think they're a little bit more upbeat than maybe Needham Market are for today's game, so I feel Dorking are likely to win that. Maybe I won't put a prediction on it because you don't want that.
But Lewis Taylor, we just mentioned Lewis Taylor is signed. That's a massive signing as well. He's come from AFC Wimbledon, and he obviously played for AFC Wimbledon last season, and now he's come over from Kingstonian. Big signing for them.
He is, but Mark's got the money, isn't he? He's a multi-millionaire, isn't he? He's got plenty of money that he can buy these players. So anyone in that league's his choice. He can go and get what he wants, but he still has to play well for him.
I think Mark would probably beg to differ on that. Luke Moore as well. Luke Moore's obviously been an important signing for them. Again, got that experience of playing in the league for AFC Wimbledon, but he's not been able to be influential this season because he's been injured for pretty much the most part of it. So he would probably be their best player. That's obviously affecting them.
Well, look, they're going to be awesome when they got all these players back. I mean, it's a shame. Obviously, Simon Ray took a horrific injury last week, which was on social media, which was, what a guy to put his face on the line, Christ's sake. But he's got some great players down there, Mark, as you well know. And when they're all back, they're going to be there or thereabouts. I mean, Remy brought this up earlier in the show, a few shows ago, that we fancied they will creep up there at some stage, and I think they will go on the run just after Christmas and push themselves around that area.
And Needham Market, we went up there and saw them, and they had a decent team together. They're just struggling a little bit this season.
They are. I mean, I touched on it, but I might as well bring it up now. Well, I was going to bring it up in our non-league news. Basically, I mean, Tom Roffery, his assistant manager, has now just left and been the manager, announced, I think, just yesterday or today, Brighton C's new manager. And he came across as a real good guy, he knew his football stuff, good coach, so I think that's a good appointment. And I think, obviously, he was at Brighton C as the assistant manager anyway. And so, yeah.
Corinthian Casuals against Hastings is a big game, another big game today in this division. Casuals took a 1-0 win against Lewis on Wednesday night as they bounced back from a 4-2 defeat to Cray Wanderers on Saturday, showing the unpredictability of this league. So that's going to be a big game. Hastings are 14th in the league. We did fancy them at the beginning of the season, but they're struggling a little bit at the moment. This is still a big game today, two big clubs.
Yeah, of course. And Hastings, again, they've had a new manager go in there now, and Peter Salis, which is a good friend of mine that was Levered's assistant manager. So I suspect there's been a turnaround of players like most clubs that have new managers and that, and I suspect Hastings will start to creep up that league.
And Lee, you obviously know this division better than any of us right now. Corinthian Casuals against Hastings, still a big game.
Yeah, very big. We've not played Hastings this year. They was only one of 2 teams to put more than 2 goals past us last year. They were very, very strong last year, I thought. But for myself, I think Corinthian are stronger from what I've seen this season. We played them at theirs and it was a 0-0, and yeah, James has got a good group there. He does. I can't believe how well he does, if I'm being honest with you, with no budget there. Yeah, he's definitely a talented manager. So.
We're looking at the Bostik North today at Mildenhall Town against Heybridge Swifts. An impressive display last week from Heybridge Swifts that defeated Haringey Borough 4-2 and securing that FA Cup first round proper tie with Exeter City. We'll talk about that in a minute. Side will undoubtedly be filled with plenty of confidence ahead of this game, especially after they defeated Hertford Town 6-0 during the week. Heybridge is 7th in the league at the moment. They played a game less than any other team in the Bostik North, only 7 this season. So they're going to hopefully make up those points. Mildenhall are in 11th in the table. They lost their last game 3-1 to Dereham Town. Form has been a bit mixed this season for them, but Mick, we saw Heybridge last week, and how nice for them to get that tie against Exeter City.
Well, it's fantastic for them to get that tie, you know, for any Bostik team to get there. Obviously, I was rooting for Levered to get a decent tie, but not to be on this occasion. Yeah, but Jody Brown's got a good team down there. We really enjoyed that game against Haringey. I felt sorry for Tom afterwards because obviously Haringey give a good account of themselves, and probably the scoreline is a bit flattering towards Heybridge, but obviously their goal scorer, top man calendar there at top for them, and they've got some very good players, and you can only see them actually being in the playoffs or winning that league outright. But I mean, Canby and Hornchurch will probably want to say differently, and I still think Malden and Tiptree are going to creep up there as well. So I'm getting a bit more knowledgeable in this northern section now.
Yeah, we're not doing too badly at the moment. OK, Lee, right now it's time for Mick versus the manager. We do this every week. There's a league table, and I'm sure you've seen that. I think Hayden Bird, the Merston manager at the moment, is top of that league table. 4 games that you need to predict, go head-to-head with Mick, and then the table works itself out. Remy, what 4 games have you got for us today?
Okay, so our first game is in the South Division. It's Sittingbourne versus Chipstead. Sittingbourne have been battling for top spot since the start of the campaign, currently positioning second, 3 points short of league leaders Lewis. Midweek, Lewis dropped points, as you just mentioned, in which the Brickies have had a game in hand and now an advantageous goal difference. The side are the informed team in the league, with only 1 defeat in 10, collecting 21 points out of a possible 30. As for Chipstead, they are currently 15th in the division, level with 16th place Ramsgate with 14 points. 3 wins in their recent 5 puts them 8th in the form guide, and impressively the Chips have collected 10 points away from home this season, but can they make it 13 with a trip to the TEC? So Sittingbourne at home to Chipstead.
That's a really interesting fixture, that, because Chipstead have got better over the past few weeks, but I've noticed that they've lost their centre-back Liam Harwood to Merston, so that's a big person to lose out your back line. And what with Sittingbourne, Nick's got that defence, not conceding goals, I think, in 9 hours. I feel Sittingbourne are going to actually just shade this game, whether it's a 1-0 or 2-0. But I think it's, I'll go 1-0 Sittingbourne. It will be close because Chipstead are a better team than what they started the season.
Lee, what do you think of this one?
Well, I saw you guys at the Chipstead Carshalton game, and I was really impressed with they've turned it around. I think it's from that game. They was unlucky to lose 4-3. I thought a fair result would have been a draw. Yeah, it could have gone either way. But Sittingbourne, I've played both teams, and both teams I've played away, and I was really impressed with Sittingbourne, to be fair. We went 1-0 up and could have gone 2, and we didn't, and they just kept going, and they deserved it at the end of it. Hands up, they won well. Something's telling me 1-0. Yeah, I would go for a 1-0. I think there's goals, not loads of goals in it, but I think Chipstead will score, and obviously Sittingbourne, so I'll just go for a 1-0.
Lee, do you want to confer with your assistant manager, or in case he's got a coaching area that he feels that it might be different?
What do you want to go with?
I'll go for Sittingbourne. I think they're a strong team, and defensively they're very good. They've got a good guy up front as well, who's very clever, holds the ball up well. I would say Sittingbourne.
Right, we'll go Sittingbourne.
I'll go
What do you
Sittingbourne.
go with?
Phone a friend in now.
What do you want to go with?
I'm going to go Sittingbourne.
Yeah, what score?
2-0.
Right, if it's a 1-1, he's out of a job.
Right, 2-0. Okay, so our second game is Thamesmead Town versus Cray Wanderers. Thamesmead Town have enjoyed back-to-back wins following back-to-back defeats. New to the division, they are currently 12th after collecting 17 points in 11 games. Tashi J. Quaye finds himself amongst the league top scorers, level with Greenwich Borough's Charlie McDonald and Carshalton Athletics' Mickey Miller. All have scored 7. Cray Wanderers also have a striker who has netted 7 of their 24 league goals in Michael Power. Wanderers currently occupy a playoff position after they remain unbeaten in 5, 4 of which were wins, and are just 2 points short of our hosts today, Whyteleafe.
Right, I fancy a draw on this. I think both are good sides, and both are sort of like got good form behind them. I fancy 2-2.
Lee, what do you think? You're going to confer with this one with Q?
I think Cray have started putting the results together, and I think Cray will win 2-0. Q?
Yeah, definitely.
You sure?
Yeah. I feel Cray, obviously, the form book in the last 4 or 5 games says that. So, like I said, they're beginning to creep up the table. I'll go Cray win as well.
Okay.
What's the score you've both predicted?
2-0.
2-0, right.
Yeah. Our next game's over in the North Division, Waltham Abbey versus Barking. Despite toying with relegation last season, goal difference saving them, Waltham Abbey currently positioned 10th in the Bostik North. Having won 3 of their last 6, they are now level with 4 other teams on 16 points. As for Barking, they seem to be doing things in doubles. In their recent 6, they have won back-to-back, drawn back-to-back and then lost back-to-back. They're currently positioned 20th in the division, level with 19th place Averley.
I'm going to go with the home team here, Waltham Abbey. I fancy Waltham Abbey, because Barking can score goals, so I'd say 2-1 Waltham Abbey.
Okay.
I ain't got a clue. But,
I'll go for a draw. 1-1.
I know Barking played Haringey Borough just before we played them in the trophy, and I think they lost 2-1, but the scouts said that they had chances to draw in that, and I don't know, mate.
Well, they smashed South Park and all, didn't they?
Yeah,
which is not an easy, you know. Well, manager's on the line here, Coo. I think he's going to pull rank.
Yeah, I'm going to pull rank here. I'm going to say 2-1 to Barking. Sorry.
I'd like to see manager and assistant manager. That's just what it's about, isn't it? No, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Okay, and our final game, we're going into the Premier Division. It's Worthing versus Hendon. So Worthing are the only Bostik team across all 3 divisions yet to win a game. With only 3 points on the board after 14 games, they are 6 points adrift from safety. After the untimely departure of player manager Gary Elphick and several key players, will their fortunes turn now they have finally returned home to Woodside Road after ground sharing with Bognor Regis? In today's clash, it's top versus bottom, as Hendon currently occupy pole position. Having collected 25 points more than Worthing after 14 games, they are level with Dulwich Hamlet. The side also leads the pack in the goal scorers table, with Nico Muir netting 11. Keegan Cole and Zach Joseph both occupy a top 20 position, both scoring 5 for the Dons as well. Lots of goals.
I think this is going to be a different entity to Worthing a few weeks back, along with obviously a new manager, and now they've gone back to their ground. Going back to the ground is quite key for them, I feel. The support's there, and I think that's why they've been hard to beat, and I think they've turned the results. They've had a couple of draws of recent time.
They got their first game back at their home ground. They did get a point in a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I mean, people might think I'm mad, but I feel that they won't lose, but I'm not so sure they're capable of beating Hendon, so I'd say maybe a 1-1 draw.
It's a difficult one because I've been watching Worthing. And like I said, they've got a new manager. They've picked up in terms of the last couple of games. Obviously got End on the other side, obviously doing really well flying. But I think it's a game that I think Worthing needs to win a game sometime. He needs to obviously get the confidence up, and he's beginning to get it together. I'm going to go for a draw.
A draw?
Yeah.
1-0? A 0-0?
Well, I know Gary quite well, and I know a few of their players quite well. And it's at Worthing?
Yeah.
So it's a 3G?
Yes.
Hendon play on a 3G, so it'll be home from them. And I remember a couple of seasons ago when Gary had him up there all the way with Margate that season, and was unlucky in the playoff final. And I think that, I'm not putting no pressure on Gary, but I think that they will be up there all season. They've got some good players there, and I think it will Hendon a win. I can't see this being a draw.
So you're overruling your assistant manager again?
You can go back to the question before and you can have your 1-1, but yeah, no, Gary, I think Hendon will win this. I would say 2-0. Sorry.
2-0. Final prediction. There we go. Mick versus the manager. So we'll see how that affects the table a little bit later on. Of course, if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, you can leave us your thoughts on the games and we can get you into that table. And it's official BOTN across social media. Right, next up we're going to hear from Paul Joynes, the Waltham Abbey manager. It was one of our prediction games in Mick versus the manager, and we caught up with him yesterday to hear about their season so far. 10th in the Bostik North. It's proving to be just as tight as it was last year in the division.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's some clubs coming this year with the likes of obviously Grays and Canvey. And there's always Hornchurch who've been there or thereabouts for a few seasons now and probably desperate to get up. So it's a tough league, and both Hertford and Mildenhall have come in and done pretty well. So it's very competitive. There isn't a weak side in the league, as we found out last weekend at Norwich. And it's going to be a very, very tight league, and a lot of people competing for that top 6.
We're finishing 20th last season, obviously level on points with where we were almost relegated, but were reprieved.
Yes.
Is your aim this season, was it just to be stronger and perhaps aim for that mid-table position?
Well, I was there the season before, and we even survived on the last day. I was originally there with Martin Hayes, and he left and took over, and we managed to survive on the last day of the season. So I had that first season. Then last year we sort of improved to a degree in terms of points and clean sheets and things like that, but we didn't really get away from that group. We just kept sort of getting drawn back. As soon as we got a little bit of a gap, we got sort of drawn back, but there was some improvement, and to get 50 points and be still near a relegation battle is still pretty tough. But yeah, for sure this year is to get into the 60s if we can, and anything above that would be a real bonus. As you say, a competitive league, and so I feel if we can get into the 60s, then we'll definitely be away from the bottom.
And how do you go about that? Or how did you go about that in the summer? What kind of process does a football club need to go through to get from finishing in the bottom 3, shall we say, to then get into mid-table? Is it just about player recruitment?
It's a combination of things, really. I mean, our chairman has worked tirelessly improving facility with improved floodlighting, fencing. The pitch last year, even though we've been doing work on it for several seasons, had issues. And this year we've got a fantastic pitch, new fencing, the ground looks better, feels better about the place, so that's given everybody a lift. We want to play football as well, so the surface enables us to play football. So then the type of players I'm looking to bring in is generally young players with an attitude, and they want to get on and move up the tables, with a mixture of a few experienced players where you can get them. So there's opportunities for people to progress, and we've seen that because we've sort of had Ryan Blackman, who was with us, and he's at Enfield Town now, so he's gone to a higher level. We've had Tom Woods, who was with us, he's now at St Neots. Chris Asabelonga, who's been with us twice. Originally we sold him to Dagenham, now he's just recently gone to Chelmsford City, and there's been 1 or 2 other boys as well gone to higher level. So it shows from the point of view of young player progression working, so hopefully that attracts people to come and look at some of the players that we've got. So as I say, off the pitch, the chairman's trying to support that and project to attract players and people through our reserves. And for me personally, it was improving the side and trying to bring some more energy to the team where we thought we needed it through the middle of the park and up front. But as I say, Chris started scoring goals and we've lost him to Chelmsford. So now that's possibly an area that we're looking for another striker. But we feel we've improved, but it's early days. You probably need to get to about 20 games completed in the league to get a clearer picture of where people could end up.
For the best highlights from across the Bostik Leagues, visit youtube.com/back of the net.
Yeah, in real optimistic mood, Paul Joynes, the Waltham Abbey manager, doing okay this season, and said he did a lot of work, Mick, in the summer, like a lot of managers around these leagues. And it's fascinating when you speak to the managers that have perhaps come from a team that was struggling last season and changed things round somewhat to try and... One of the questions I asked was, how do you get that extra? You know, what can you do on smaller budgets when you're a manager that you know you've been struggling one season, you want to get up towards mid-table? What are the kind of things you can change in the background? Is it to do with the preparation, the food, the training? Is it just a case of training harder? Is it better players?
Well, I'm going to divert this question directly to this gentleman on the left-hand side, because apparently he hasn't got a big budget here. So, or Koo, I don't mind who wants to answer it, but I think that'd be a good question for either one of these to want to answer, because that's what they're doing here, isn't it?
Is it, Lee, is it just recruitment, or at this level, is there so many other things you can do?
Look, it's both, if I'm being totally honest. I'm not just saying it because he's here, he's a very highly qualified coach. He's been in it for years, and his sessions are second to none. We work on the philosophy of how we want to play and play to our strengths, and we do that in training. But if you haven't got the players, you can't turn it around overnight. If you've got time, then great, you can go with that. But in my opinion, as a manager, from my side of it, you've got to get the right players in to then get the strengths out of them. And if you need to turn it around quickly, then it is recruitment, in my opinion.
Koo, we mentioned the training sessions there. Is there something that you do as a coach in the summer where you sit and say, I'll tell you what, we need to be at this level, so I'm going to completely rewrite the book here and try all these different things in training? Can you get an extra 10-20% out of that?
I think it's a bit of both. I mean, it's really difficult because you got boys coming from, they've got different jobs, and some of them obviously work in offices and stuff. And when they want to come to training, they want to obviously enjoy it. So you have to put a session where one is a bit of enjoyment, but also you've got to put a session that they're actually learning and developing as well. And the training is high tempo. The training is supposed to be 2 hours, but we normally train for an hour and a half. But what we do is the tempo of the training, whether it be defensive work, whether it be attacking work, it's fun, but also it's hard work. And their focus as well. I think the attitude of the boys has got to be good as well. That's the first thing. If you've got good attitude of players that want to come, want to learn, want to listen, combine that with one or two experienced players, which we've got, they all enjoy the training, so they say. So it's a matter of just them, working hard, and they'll look forward to the training, which is good as well. But I think attitude is really important as well in terms of the training.
Well, we've got a big group here. Don't start laughing, about 28 players, and it's literally there is competition for places within that whole group. So when we're here and we're training on Tuesday and Thursday, we can do whatever session we want to put on because we've got the numbers and the quality's there. But exactly what Koo said, we don't bring players in. I won't bring anyone in that could be the best player in the league, but if he hasn't got the right attitude, I won't even entertain him. It's just, I'd rather somebody with half the ability that's more honest working and committed to what he wants to do or what we want to do, and that's the truth. Like I just won't have anyone that just doesn't work hard. So
it's an interesting point that you just made about the group of players that you have, because that comes back to that preparation. If you've got 28 players, you know that if you want to do 11v11 because you've got to work on something, you're always able to do that at a high level. I know teams can dip into perhaps their development squads or youth teams, but if you can do that with a group of first team players, that's really important.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, go on. No, go on.
Yeah, it's really important, but also we set standards from the off. I mean, that's where it starts in pre-season. We have a code of conduct with everybody had to sign, so everybody obviously understand what we're about. And like I said, the standard is set. It starts obviously with the manager, then it boils down to me, and then obviously to the players. So it's setting standards, keeping to those standards, and obviously working hard.
Mick, someone said to me during the week, actually, there's two sort of types of club. There's a club that it's almost like a Football Manager. It will literally be, we're struggling, so we'll bring in a player that's better than that player. And then there's the clubs that have to do all the things, everything they can with the sessions and around the club to work with the group that they've got, because there's no finance to just swap better player for better player all the time.
There's a couple of questions I might want to throw back to these two, basically. I mean, for 28, a squad of 28 is fantastic, and obviously they've got a budget that can pay them, which is this is quite good. But I mean, this has pushed me on to another sort of subject. Has this club got the, how can I put it, ambition of you to go to the next level, and has the chairman backed you and given you a budget to compete to go up? You know, because as Whyteleafe supporters, they want their club to be progressing. They don't want it to be standing still. It's just always a question that I try and put to managers. You know, have they got the backing behind the scenes, and has the chairman or committee that they might have here given you the tools to do the job to take this club up to the next level?
I go back to the 28 players being paid. That's not the case. It's whatever squad is matchday squad. They'll get their expenses covered, and that's what happens. To do with the chairman, to do with the club, it's a great club. The budget is not a top 6 budget, and I'll just tell you how it is. It's just not. But out of them 28 players, I will send at least 6 or 7 are out at other clubs. So on match day, they're playing in the Combined Counties, they're playing in the Kent Premier, the Sussex Premier. I know a few people about that. I can stick these players out, and they're good players. So it works for us and it works for them. But we do. I mean, look, the reason that I can get some of these players in here is because me and myself and Koo, we do video analysis on a Thursday, and not a lot of clubs do that at most levels. And we'll go in, we have the games that have been videoed at home, the clips are done, and we'll go in and explain to them, like any session like that, where they've done well, what they've done, we've asked them to do, they've done well, and when they've done something wrong, so we can show them and we improve on that, show them that. We go out then onto the training pitch, and we'll work on those weaknesses or those mistakes that we've made individually and as a group. So that straight away is a more professional way of doing stuff. It's professionally run. You know, obviously I was at Farnborough for 5 years, and 4 of them were in the Conference South, so I've been around some very good players in non-league. And even clubs at that level don't do the training sessions and the way that we prep for games, even at that level.
Well, a question I've been asking every manager every week is what's the budget? What sort of budget wins this league first and foremost, or what sort of budget gets them in the playoffs? It's a question I've asked at different levels. People have talked about, obviously, the Ryman Premier level. What Ryman South budget wins you the league, and what Ryman South budget gets you in the playoffs?
Just want to say Bostic.
Oh God!
Bostic Prem.
Sorry,
Bostic
Nick.
South.
Sorry, that's twice I've done now. Sorry.
£3 in the jar for Nick.
Slap on their hands.
Can't believe I've slipped up on that. Anyway, answer my question, Nick. Yeah, come on. You've thrown me now. Come on, I've thrown myself now. But anyway,
mate, I don't know. Is the answer to that question? You can be Man City in the Premier League and have £1 billion to spend. Doesn't mean you're going to win the league. You need, in my opinion, you need to get the right players in, regardless of money and how much they're on. I mean, if you look at Gary, for argument's sake, today, he's got some great talent there, and they may not come cheap. I'm sure they don't, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to get out of this league.
So if you went to another club that was maybe bigger than Whyteleafe, what would you be asking to win? Let's just think Ryman South. You come in there and you spoke to the Whyteleafe chairman and said, this is what I need to win you this league. What sort of money are we talking about? I'm talking about per week to win the league. We won't mess about with playoffs.
I believe
this
in,
is what I need.
I believe in myself and my abilities and Koo's abilities, and I don't know, mate.
Come on, all these other managers have given me a figure, Lee. You're the only one at the minute that has not given me a figure. We're not going to say this is what it is at Whyteleafe, I promise you.
Mate, I'll tell you, listen, I explained to you now, the chairman has backed me a small increase on last season, and I assure you, I'm not going to tell you what it is, of course I'm not, but it is nowhere near playoff budget, nowhere near it. And I've got players that are bought into me and Koo and this club. They've backed me. I wouldn't want any club that I was at to spend beyond their means. I was at Farnborough, like I say, for 5 years, and when we got there, great club, great stadium, but the people before had literally lived the high life and hadn't paid for it. We'd go in the dressing room. It was a Premier League dressing room, stunning place, and they hadn't paid for it. So there'd be people turning up at training to come and take the TV screens. And this is a great club. So I would never ask anyone to spend something that they can't afford, because it's wrong, and I wouldn't be able to spend somebody's money if they can't afford it. So.
Yeah, fascinating that, and as I said, it goes back to that thing perhaps where there's two different types of clubs across the Bostik leagues. One that, like you say, Lee, your philosophy of you have to work with the players you've got and you have to sort of bring in what you can and do what you can, and the other clubs that there are a few clubs that we know of obviously that can bring in better players every time they want to progress because it's their budgets allow. We could talk about this all day. We've talked about this on previous shows and maybe we'll come back to it. Official BOTN if you want to get your thoughts to us across social media. Right, we're going to turn our attention to Kit's Really Easy now, which is a game that we started at the beginning of the season between our two producers. Who's going to go first today?
I'll let Remy go first.
So Remy go first. So Luke, you go away and go and get yourself one of those nice looking sausage rolls or bacon baps that are around the corner here at Whyteleafe. You can play along wherever you are, and we will start off with our producer Remy doing Kit's Really Easy. We've got a few good ones for you today, so you ready to go, Remy?
Yeah, we need to get Dara to bring up Dara to do the marking, right?
Dara, you can do it from there, is that right? So Dara's going to just look after who gets what, and we'll make sure that Dara's got some paper there. It's all very competitive in our studio here. Don't forget we're at Whyteleafe this afternoon for full commentary of Whyteleafe against Greenwich Borough. Right, Remy, we haven't done this for a few weeks, but you're feeling confident?
I don't really know how I feel. I've seemed to be good at this game because Luke's absolutely terrible at it. So I wouldn't say I'm particularly good, but we'll give it a go. We'll see how I get on. And we're getting more and more shirts, so I should be able to kind of work it out a bit more with what's in front of me.
Okay, remind you, if you're viewing for the first time or listening for the first time, of the rules. 30 seconds on the clock. We'll keep putting team names through as long as you can answer them, and you've got to get as many right as you can. You only have to do the shirt colours, the main shirt colour for each team. Right, let's get 30 seconds on the clock and off we go.
Macclesfield Town.
God, blue.
Hartlepool United.
Blue.
Bangor University.
Bangor. Yellow.
German non-league side FC Hamburg.
Oh God, green.
Kingstonian.
Red.
Corinthian Casuals.
Pink and brown.
Haybridge Swifts.
Black and red.
Chipstead.
Green.
AFC Sudbury.
Yellow. And blue.
That's it on the stopwatch. So there we go. Right, we'll bring
Luke. It's not looking good, mate. It's not looking good.
Okay, so we'll bring Luke back in, and we'll get you in the hot seat. Let us know official BOTN across social media.
I'm feeling great today. I won. Listen, I won on the non-league quiz. Today's the day. All right.
You have to claw it back at 7-0 to me at the moment.
Okay, look, we get 30 seconds on the clock for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
Macclesfield Town.
Blue.
Hartlepool United.
A greeny colour.
Bangor University.
Excuse me. Red.
German non-league side FC Hamburg.
Definitely a yellow.
A yellow for sure, yeah?
For sure.
Whyteleafe.
White and green.
Wealdstone.
They're green as well, I think.
VCD Athletic.
Oh, I'm going to go for green as well.
Thurrock.
Blue.
And your time's up anyway.
Oh, we
Okay.
had different teams. I thought we were going to get the same.
We had a few different ones in there for Luke.
Oh, wow, I didn't
Can
know.
you just confirm what the name of the university team was?
It's Bangor University
And where are they based?
in Wales.
I wasn't
Okay.
expecting that today.
Okay, right. We've got some of the answers. Dara, should we bring up and see what happens? So Dara can come up and have a little tell of the answers. Official BOTN across social media. There were some obscure ones in there. So I can tell you that Macclesfield Town played in blue and white. Hartlepool United in blue and white stripes. Bangor University played in green. FC Hamburg played in yellow and black. That's the German non-league side, FC Hamburg. Kingstonian playing red and white hoops. Corinthian Casuals played in red. Haybridge Swifts playing black and white, Chipstead playing green and white, AFC Sudbury playing yellow, and there are a couple of others in there as well, which we'll go through in a moment. But Dara, how did the guys get on, most importantly?
It was okay, I would say.
Who won?
It was Remy.
I felt like I did really well. I
So-
thought Corinthian Casuals played in pink though.
What was the
and brown?
What was
Am I
the
thinking wrong? Because you just said red. Now I'm confused.
So it says red on my answer sheet, except burgundy and pink is also included.
Oh, burgundy.
Okay.
Yes, there's a burgundy sort of reddish brown, browny pink.
Well, we gave you the points anyway. So what was the final score in this?
Remy got 6.5.
Oh, what's the half point for?
I can't. I think one of the teams had stripes, and you didn't include the other colour. And with Luke, I didn't have the extra teams. So,
Luke,
there's a bit of
a bit of controversy involved
a bit of controversy about Luke's final score. So he's got 2 from the.
Can we just say that Luke wouldn't have won anyway? So I don't think it makes any difference.
I don't think all those teams can play in green. I think green was his answer 4 times in a row.
Okay, well, let's say that Remy's the winner. I think Remy's always going to be in the winner in this. Dara, thank you ever so much. We'll play Kits Really Easy again next week. Next up on the show, we're going to hear from another manager in the Bostik South as we're here at Whyteleafe this afternoon. And we speak to Malcolm Porter, the South Park manager, after a really mixed start for them. He talks about cup competitions and what he expects from the rest of the season, from his players.
How do you see your progress? Are you happy with the start of the season so far after 12 games?
No, I'm not happy to the start of the season after 12 games. We had an okay start to the season. Then we hit a bit of a challenging patch probably over the last 3-4 weeks where we've kind of not been as effective in the league. We ended up getting knocked out in the replay in the FA Trophy as well. And I think the league table, I think we spoke about this at the beginning of the season. After about 12 games, you have a good idea in terms of where you are based on what you've done. And at the moment, we are what we are, which is a top 10 side. And I don't think we're genuinely in the talk for favourites at the start of the season. I think people would perceive us potentially as being one of the teams that could push for the playoffs. And that's probably where we are at this present moment in time. We're one of the teams on the outskirts. You look at the teams that are up there, they're probably the ones that most people would assume would be, with the exception maybe of Sittingbourne, who are doing a fantastic job down there and really kind of like with a brand new team taking that team really kind of forward really well. So I wouldn't say I'm particularly pleased with what we've done so far this season. There's lots of room for improvement there, so that's probably where we are at the moment.
And you look at the game obviously against Corinthian Casuals that you were well beaten in, and then Greenwich Borough at the weekend. Are those the kind of games that if you are going to compete and be right up there, you need to get points out of?
Well, I've always worked on the basis, which is true. You can't pick and choose the games you want to get points out of. You get 3 points whether you beat Greenwich or whether you beat Shoreham, who we've got on Saturday. Our goal is to make sure that we go into those games far more competitive than we have been over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and that we are picking up 3 points, whoever it is that we're playing against. We know that the challenges against the likes of Corinthian Casuals, Greenwich, Carshalton, Whyteleafe, Lewis, the teams at the top, they're going to be potentially bigger challenges with better players, but you can't write off anybody in this league. You look at East Grinstead, they beat Carshalton during the week. Shoreham beat Greenwich Borough early on this season for their first win. So you can't write anybody off or go into any match assuming that you're going to win it, because if you do, you end up kind of like with egg on your face. So we've just got to be more consistent, and that's the key thing. If you look at the Dorking and Tooting from last year, the reasons why they went up is because their consistent levels of performance were far higher than everybody else, and the ability to win a game of football when you're not playing particularly well is a trait that we need to get back, that we've had previous seasons that we've maybe not had as much over the last 3-4 weeks.
And last year you were dubbed as the sort of cup kings of the division, where you're running the FA Trophy and other cup competitions as well. Being out of all the cups this year, could that potentially be really good for South Park?
Well, I mean, the reality is we're out of both the FA Cup and the FA Trophy at the first hurdle, which has never happened to us before. So we've got to turn it into a positive. And so the fact that we'll have kind of less games being rescheduled, the fact that potentially we can go into the new year with playing maybe kind of twice a week very infrequently, and hopefully we won't be anywhere near the backlog of fixtures we had last year when we had 4 or 5 weeks back to back of playing 3 games a week. And if we can get to Christmas time in a good place with kind of being where we should be on fixtures, there's obviously going to be the odd game here and there that's going to be called off. But if we can continue to move forward and not be in a massive deficit of fixtures, then I would like to think that we'll be in a good position to make a push come the new year. But it's going to be a challenge. The league, as always, is really tough. The strength and depth from kind of like top down to probably 15, 16 is really high, and everybody's competing with each other to get into those top 6 places.
When you look at a division like this and at this level of football, you're 10th in the league at the moment. You've mentioned that it's not quite hit your expectations. Is that down to the players and perhaps needing to strengthen the squad? Is that down to the training sessions? How much can you have an effect on as a manager at this stage of the season?
It's probably not down to any one thing. It's down to a combination of factors, and I think it's just everything that we need to be better at. The thing that we probably haven't had as much this season that we've had in previous seasons is just how tough and combative we can be on the pitch. As you've seen with some recent results, we've kind of like got well beaten, which isn't our MO, for want of a better phrase. We're typically always in games and always be battling, even if we lose. So there's not one thing you can point the finger at. We just need to be better, from myself as the person leading the team, through to kind of like everybody involved in the management team, through to all of the players, and the guys behind the scenes. We just need to up our levels all the way across. And we know we've got the quality players to be able to do that. We're in probably no different situation to most other teams. We've had a bit of a challenging time with injuries over the last 4 or 5 weeks, which you just got to get on with it. Other teams like to talk about it and go on about how big their injury crisis and stuff is, but it's part of football. You just got to deal with it. We've had 6-7 first team players out. We've got youth team players that we can bring in. We've got reserve team players that we can bring in. We're looking at maybe bringing in 1 or 2 new fresh players over the next couple of weeks, but you've just got to deal with it. It's part of football. You're going to get injuries, you're going to get suspensions, you're going to get players that are going to be away. You just need to deal with it, and in the best way you can. And they're the games where you really need to dig in deep and pull out results when it would look, if you're starting 11, that's going to be a challenge.
For all the best coverage from across the Bostik leagues, visit backofthenetsouth.co.uk.
Yeah, interesting one. Malcolm Porter, the South Park manager. They've not been doing so well this season. He won't thank me for saying that, but in 10th place. Now, he said that, interestingly, maybe they'd have been in around the playoffs, but this theory that perhaps we tipped them to do a lot better this year because of the cup runs and the squad that they've got, but they've disappointed us a little bit this season in 10th position.
Are you telling me he's blaming us? That's why they've got a dip in form at the minute?
I don't think he's blaming us. I think what he's saying is we put them up there at the beginning, but he's sort of saying, well, actually, when you look at the budgets and you look at things, we shouldn't be up there.
No, Malcolm, don't agree with that. You will be up there, mate. You've got a good bunch of players there. If you get injuries, that's what's happening, and you've brought 2 decent players in, Josh Gallagher being one of them. So, no, you're going to be up there, mate. I know you've not got a big budget. You've got a smaller one than Lee's got here, and you're going to be in and around there when it counts, mate.
So we spoke to Anthony Gale, the Wharton Casuals manager, and I said to him that there are three fixtures coming up that were in the cup. So I think they've got 3 different cup competitions: the Velocity Cup, they have the County Cup, and the FA Trophy. And for South Park, completely the opposite. Out of most of the cup competitions now, just the league to concentrate on. Does that give them more of a chance to get up there for promotion?
Malcolm will be up there. We played them, what is it, the 3rd game of the season? Second game of the season. We won 3-1. They could have been... They went 1-0 up. They could have been 2-0 up in the first 10-15 minutes. He's got some good players there. He brought in Jake Mazzone from Tooting. I had Josh at Farnborough. Good guy, good player. Was at Corinthian last year, Casuals, and yeah, he's got some good players in there. He's got Lavery, and he's got some good players. And I think that they will start creeping up once this weather comes in, which is obviously now, and the pitches are not as good. He's got a good, strong, physical team going forward there. He's got Luke at left back, and yeah, they will climb the table. I've no doubt about that.
I think Malcolm's got a bit of media training behind him, and he's playing it down personally.
Well, we shall see for the rest of the season. Right, now going to turn our attentions to the Bostik Premier Division, and we have Rob Tolfrey, the Kingstonian goalkeeper, on the line. Rob, very good afternoon to you.
Oh, are you alright?
Yeah, really good, thanks. So lots of change at the club at the moment for you, and Craig Edwards departing. Did you see that coming? Did you know that he was leaving?
No, there was a couple of talks about the sort of budget and stuff like that, but I think as players we just had to sort of get on with our job. It weren't easy the past couple of weeks, but we just got our job to do, and that's all I can really say. Like, Craig's gone now. He was good last year. It was good having him, but it's time to move on now. So.
And obviously, you've had Lewis Taylor depart as well for Dorking Wanderers in the week. What's the mood in the camp like at the moment when you see all these changes happening?
It is difficult, yeah, it is. But like, he was a big player for us, Lewis, and a good guy to have about. But if someone don't want to be at the club, then there's no point sort of keeping them there. And we sort of said on Thursday night, we've just got to all stick together, wait for the new guy to come in, and just give everything we got for today's game. So that's where we're at.
And more positives. It's been a good start to the season. You were, it went on a winning run, and everyone expects Kingstonian to perhaps be targeting the playoff positions. Are you still confident that come the end of the season you're going to be up there?
Yeah, I think the main word you use there is consistency. If you look at our past 12 results, it was sort of win, 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 lose, 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 win, 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 lose, lose, lose. So we're sort of not sure. I think if we could just put a run together and just assess it at Christmas time and assess it at February and then see where we are. So I think just trying to get a bit of consistency together will be the main thing.
Hi Rob, it's Nick Sullivan here. How are you?
I'm not bad, Nick. You all right?
All right, mate. Just a question to put to you here. Obviously, we're all waiting for this big announcement who's going to be the Kingstonian manager, which I'm really looking forward to find out who they're going to employ. But what sort of manager would you like to come in? What sort of manager? A nicey type manager, or shouter and baller? What sort of bloke would you prefer, or do you respond to?
I think it's not so much me personally now, because obviously I'm getting a little bit older and I sort of get on my own job. I think what the club needs is just a bit of stability, and just someone that comes in that has an identity, that knows exactly how they want to do things and do things the right way, have a sort of philosophy, for a better word, and sort of stick with it. So we sort of know on a Thursday night how we want to play, how we want to go about it, how we're going to get that 3 points on the Saturday. And I think that's what the club needs at the moment. So.
Is that something that was missing, perhaps when Craig was there? Was there a bit of unrest?
No, I think to be honest, Craig has his identity and he has his way of playing. I'm just not sure we could get the players. I think it was a lot of travelling for Craig from Hornchurch. So I think that sort of dragged him down a bit. And he was a hard-working guy, but obviously he decided that the time wasn't right for him, and we've got to move on as a club now. So
maybe it was to concentrate on his tea shop.
Yeah.
Rob, how's it been working under Kim Harris? Have you enjoyed that experience for the short time? Because I gather Kingstonian are likely to name a new manager in the coming days. What's it been like working under Kim? Obviously an old experienced man.
Yeah, he only come in. He done last Thursday. He was there. Then he comes Saturday. To be honest, he didn't really say too much. He sort of named the side, said his sort of piece, and we just sort of stuck together and give it a go. I'm not sure whether he's got the bug back a bit, but new manager coming in Monday, so look forward to that.
Monday, right? Okay. Just one last question before what sort of style of football do you think is going to get you up there in the playoffs? I'm just intrigued as a player's perspective. What style of football gets you there or thereabouts where it's counting?
To be honest, Nick, and I heard you with Hayden last week. I think I've never played against a team. I've been in this league 9 or 10 seasons now, and I've never played. The team that's won the league has never been a team that plays out from the back and plays a lot of football.
Very intriguing. Thank you very much for that. That's quite intriguing.
Yeah, that is. And
Hayden will phone me.
I know he will do.
We've played against, when I go back to Dover, Dartford, things like that, and then like even Billericay this year, they're sort of all good, but they play football in the right areas. And I think it's just reducing mistakes in your own half. That's the way I see. Like when you come away from the teams that win the league, that you don't come off and say they were brilliant, but you come off and say they were hard working, they played the ball in the right area, and they don't concede many goals.
It's fascinating. Fascinating. It's certainly a question that I'm going to put to Lee next. Rob, thank you ever so much for coming on the show. Best of luck with the game against Wingate and Finchley today.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Take care. See you, Mick.
Yeah, cheers off. Thanks, mate.
Take care.
And Lee, that reminds me of the question that I wanted to put to you, because last week, Hayden, a couple of weeks ago when we were at Merstham, Hayden did say that the team that would win the league were the best team off the ball. That's what he came out with, and it got me thinking. He said, it's not necessarily about, we were talking all about what styles of football you play, teams that play out, what the right way to play is, and Hayden said, no, let's get it right. The team that is the best off the ball wins the league. Is that something that you concur with?
It's both, in my opinion. It's the team that does the right things off the ball, that works hard off the ball. That's all 10 outfield players. That's not just 9 or 7 or 8. It's all of them from the front to the back. You set out how you want to defend when you haven't got the possession, how you want to get that possession back as quick as possible. And also what Rob says, it's in my opinion, is spot on. It's not losing the ball in your own half. It's not losing it in dangerous areas where the opposition can get on the ball and cause problems straight away. And it's about playing in the right areas, and it's about playing the conditions. From August to October, maybe every team can get the ball down and pop it out from the back and play the nice way, easy on the eye. But from November onwards, in my opinion, you've got to play in the right areas. You've got to play the conditions, and you've got not to lose that ball in the danger zone, which is in your own half. Along with everything else that goes with it. But yeah, I think Rob is spot on there, and I think Aidan's spot on, if I'm being honest. You've got to work off the ball.
And obviously, we talked to him a little bit about what his expectations are. Kingstonian, everybody knows, a big club in the league. They're well supported, and for them, I guess they should be pushing on towards the playoffs.
Maybe, yeah. They've obviously lost 4 on the bounce. It hasn't been easy for them there. I know Craig, travelling was killing him, as Rob said there. So yeah, I mean, look, it's a big club, some good players there. So yeah, I'm sure they'll work it out.
And we've got another phone call now. We've got I think it's a fan that we've got on, who's is Spencer, who's come to speak to us. Very good afternoon to you, Spencer. Are you there, Spencer? Have we got Spencer on? We're not sure. We thought we had Spencer on. A fan to speak to us, but maybe he's not. Spencer, you there? I can hear something in the distance. I'm not sure. We'll Spencer, you there? No, he's not. We'll try and get Spencer back onto the show very shortly. Just going back quickly, Mick, to the Kingstonian thing. You know the league and you know the club really well. Would they be expecting to challenge the likes of Billericay and Dulwich with the club that they are, or from where they've come from last season, a playoff spot would be what they'd want?
Well, I think a playoff spot is what they would want. They want a season of stability, I would have thought, having to sort of move out of their ground. Be interesting to see what long-term future they've got, what ground they're likely to be at next year, whether it's going to be a second year at Leatherhead. But Kingstonian should be ambitious. I know plenty of the supporters and a lot of people behind the scenes there. And if you said that they weren't aiming for playoffs and being in the next league, I think they'd probably pack up and go and support another team.
Right, we've got Spencer back on the line now. Spencer, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, thank you ever so much for coming on. Spencer, how are you doing?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Try not to get blown away.
Yeah, it could be a very windy afternoon. And Spencer, you're obviously the Farnborough manager, and we brought you on because you've worked with these two guys that are on the show. Have you got anything you want to have a chat to them about today?
I'll speak to Spencer enough.
No, obviously it's important that with them being on the show, you've obviously arranged their fees with them and spoken to the most important person who would have negotiated their fees to be on the show. So I presume you've got Koo's wife there. Because I've negotiated with players that have played in the Premiership, even a couple of England internationals, and I'll have to tell you, Koo's the hardest person to negotiate ever, and you're not even you're dealing with his wife. It's unbelievable. So I hope you've been paid in advance for the show. But yeah, no, besides that's all good.
Spencer, it's Mick Sullivan here. How are you, mate? All right? Yeah, I wanted to put this shock into them both. I had to get you on the show. You know, what did they bring to the game for you? I mean, what did either of them? Did they help you really, or would you think they were a bit of a hindrance behind the scenes?
I brought the oranges. Because if you tell him anything, it's quicker than Sky Sports News. Lee's got some fantastic style bits. You know, if you give him a pair of tracksuits, he'll come back and he will have had them redone to make sure he looks the part. And I suppose it's probably fair to say that, obviously Lee we missed massively. Lee was with me for a number of years. We did hundreds of hours in the cars together and many kebab shops after terrible days. And, so Lee I spoke to then probably 5 times a day, and I probably still speak to him on average twice a day now, and he's not even, with me. So, Lee was with me for a number of years. We had some very good times, and we had some very difficult times when, budgets are incredibly tight. So, it's... and Q was with me briefly at Chertsey, and then when I first came to Farnborough, that's staggering. I think it's 6 years ago now. It's everyone moves on at times, so it's they've done very well, and it's early part of the season, but they've done very well in the early days of the season, and that's football for you.
So you could recommend them to be a bibs, balls, and cones people for anyone out there.
Sorry, I missed that, Mick.
So you would recommend them to any club for the bibs, cones, and balls person?
Recommend them to any club, sorry?
Bibs, cones and balls, is that what they're sort of what they
trying
can
to
do?
be funny.
You need to speak to Stu's wife. I mean, there's no point discussing it with anybody else. I mean, she's the one who's... Lee's brilliant at bringing money into the club, and, his son's the most famous person I know. He's very good at getting them out to work early doors. So
let's, Spencer, let's talk about Farnborough. How's it going this season?
It's a bit hit and miss. We had the most... we had a fantastic pre-season until 4 days before the season started, and then one trialist in the last pre-season game managed to take 3 of my star players out in one game, which was a bit of a nightmare. We're a bit hit and miss. We had a fantastic result at Hereford in front of a few thousand on Tuesday night. We're only the second team to beat them, so we beat them at Hereford, which was a great result. But we've got serious injuries and unavailabilities, but we're where we should be. We're sort of mid-higher table, and it's where we push on from here, really. So we're okay. We got promoted last year, and it's a great club, and it sorted itself out. But obviously, we had a number of years of difficult times. So there's a lot of smiles around the place, but we're inconsistent, and obviously, we'd like to try and put that right.
Well, listen, thanks ever so much for taking the time to speak to us today, and we wish you best of luck for the rest of the season.
No worries, guys. Good luck today. All the best.
Good luck, mate.
Good luck, mate.
Cheers.
Okay, plenty more to come on the show today. Next half an hour, we're going to be speaking to Danny Hill, the Canvey Island manager. They're leading the way in the Bostik North. And we'll talk more about today's game between Whyteleafe and Greenwich Borough.
You're listening to Back of the Net, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Times are changing. We now live in a digital world where 9 out of 10 people use the internet to look for local goods and services. Whether in front of a computer at home or on a mobile phone on the go, people expect to find what they want, when they want, quickly and easily. The question is, can your business be found? At Promote UK, we specialise in getting local businesses found online. One highly affordable package will give your business a stunning mobile responsive website, which we guarantee to get to the first page of Google and keep it there. And we take care of everything: copywriting, design, hosting. We even offer unlimited amends all year round for no extra charge. So, whilst you're busy focusing on your business, we're busy making sure it can be found online all year round. Start your Google Page One journey today with a free online health check by visiting PromoteUKLimited.com. Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Are you looking for a little bit more than a good meal at a pub? The Half Moon is a hidden gem located in the picturesque village of Charlwood on the Surrey-Sussex borders. Proud of old traditions, this old English pub offers tasty fresh food with locally sourced ingredients, comfortable dining and traditional bar area, as well as a lovely garden for your enjoyment. Evening with friends or lunch with family, whatever the occasion, you can expect our friendly and welcoming staff to help. Half Moon Charlwood. Check out our Facebook page for upcoming events and live music.
Need to refuel? Whether you're heading home or away, get ahead of the game and refuel at Dorking's Service Centre. Dorking's local retailer of quality BP fuel, Costa coffee and food to go. Find us at the traffic lights close to Dorking Halls or at dorkingservicecentre.com.
From Premiership to Playground, MH Goals has everything you need for an outstanding football match, including aluminium and steel football goals, nets, line marking machines, team shelters, boot wipers, and much more. Buy with confidence direct from the manufacturer with great prices available across our whole range of sports equipment. What's more, we offer fantastic discounts for all FA affiliated clubs. We pride ourselves on British manufacturing. We make all our football goals here in the UK and conform to the latest British and European safety standards. So call MH Goals direct on 01502 711 298 or visit our online store at mhgoals.com.
Back of the Net, the official partner of the Bostik Leagues. Join us from 2:30 for live coverage from today's game. Back of the Net, where it matters. Back to your favourite non-league football show, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do. Back of the Net, where it matters.
So welcome back to today's show. Don't forget you can watch the show again on Facebook throughout the week and also on our YouTube channel as well. The Bostik League show today coming from Whyteleafe as they take on Greenwich Borough. It's a top of the table clash and you can watch the highlights tomorrow. Listen to the commentary this afternoon as well from 3 o'clock. One game that has fallen foul to the weather is South Park against Shoreham. That's been called off. We're inside the clubhouse here, but the weather forecast this afternoon is for 50 mile an hour winds and plenty of rain, so I'm sure a couple of games are going to fall a cropper to that, but South Park against Shoreham is not on. We've had a tweeting from a manager in the Bostik Premier Division who we know quite well.
We have from Frank Wilson. Can someone tell Lee management has made him age quickly? And there's emoji, but it's not quite compatible with my laptop, so I'm not too sure what it is.
Frank could do anything to get on this show, wouldn't he? He forgot I'm 12 years older than him. So.
Right,
funny guy.
Next up, we're going to do Mick, your 6 questions, which will I'm sure throw up a few for Lee. So we're gonna do we time this? I always forget whether we time this. Let's just do the 6 questions. Let's get them all out. So it's quick fire, but Mick's got 6 interesting questions to ask you, Lee.
And before we start, Lee, every manager's answered these, so there's none of this ducking it with a media swerve. It's straight back with me, okay? You ready? You ready?
I'm ready.
Most arrogant manager you've met?
Lee Bradbury.
Wow, right. Laziest player in your squad?
None. Oh, not laziest.
Come on, it's cool. If he's not...
No, I'll be honest with you. The laziest player, I wouldn't say he's lazy, but he's not as mobile as...
I know what you're going to say.
But he's technically...
Is he a winger?
He's Sammy Clayton, yeah, but he's my most consistent player. If you look at my squad since I've taken over, which has been a year now, he's played more than anybody.
Right.
Yeah, good player. Very good player.
Okay. So, laziest, best player? No, that's the same question. That's what I'm saying. He's the laziest, best player.
Yeah, go on.
Next question.
Best player initiation you've had to do or watched?
Ain't seen any.
You don't do any player initiations at all?
Ain't got time for that.
Wow. Okay. Focusing
on the pre-season of the game. Yeah.
What member of staff or player has a wag with him when he comes to a game?
Lamray. Lamray is he?
Lamray, yeah, Lamray. Okay.
This is like a shadow.
What's the strangest comment you've heard come from a home or an away dugout? And if he can't...
Cool, you can help me out here, mate. I'm normally focused on...
Strangest comment. Come on, anything.
I ain't got a clue.
Very difficult, really, that one, because you always concentrate on what you're doing.
God knows. What, from the opposite dugout?
Anything.
I can't think of anything. Look,
I was going to say, is there been a manager in the away dugout that's been particularly animated and has been doing anything perhaps that's taken your eye?
Listen, the best person I've seen in the dugout, I'll tell you that, is Danny Cowley. Top notch. And when we was against him, me and Spencer were against him when he was at Concord Rangers in the Conference South. Literally said after that to Spence, I said, he'll go into the Pro League because he is, if I've seen a man motivated before, that's him. And he knows his stuff inside out. And it's easy to say now because he obviously is in League 2 with Lincoln City, but Good manager, yeah. Very animated in the dugout, and he's relentless. Yes, his word that it stood out to me with him was relentless. He beat us 7-0, and at 5-0 he's saying relentless. Keep going, get more, and yeah, he's a good manager.
So I gather you're looking for a loan player or two off of him.
No, I speak to Danny quite a lot. I like Danny. Yeah, he's good.
Okay.
He's good.
Last one, mate. Last one. It's nearly there. Which working manager wouldn't make your Christmas card list? And you've got to answer
Which manager?
Which working manager?
Lee Bradbury. Yeah,
you're going to pick on Lee. There ain't no one.
We just don't get on.
I'm going to diverse it down a bit then. Bostik League.
Bostik League?
Yes. We can't have this. Bostik League.
Bostik League.
That's the league you're in, Lee.
I know that. It's not the Ryman's League.
Good one. Come on, there's going to be one.
There ain't. Can you think of one?
Don't push it on the poor old coup.
Let's make it interesting. I'll say Gary. There we go. Oh, no. I'll tell you one. Anthony Gow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good. Wow.
Yeah, I'll tell you one. Yeah.
Wow.
Any reasons that you go on with Anthony?
I won't go into it. But
okay,
yeah.
Right, we'll move on. That's Mick's 6 questions. Thank you ever so much, Mick. Plenty more to come on the show. We're going to look ahead again to the game this afternoon between Whyteleafe and Greenwich Borough. But first, let's hear from somebody doing pretty well this season. Canvey Island were relegated last year, and Danny Hill has got them going again. They're top of the Bostik North, and here's what he had to say when I caught up with him yesterday.
So you must be absolutely delighted at the moment. Top of the Bostik North, winning out 8 out of your last 12 games, 6 back-to-back wins. Life couldn't get any better, could it?
Yeah, it's going all right at the moment, but we know obviously you can't get carried away with yourself at this level, and it's a tough league this year, especially with the sides that have come in, and they're throwing some big clubs. They're throwing some decent money about as well. So listen, we've got to keep our feet on the ground and just take each game as it comes. But say we couldn't be happier at the minute, but we've got to make sure that we don't rest on our laurels and make sure that we keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, and I spoke to you earlier on in the season, and obviously you were saying that having got relegated last year, you needed to find your feet, you needed to go again, you would be one of the favourites, and certainly that tag's proving to be living up to expectation with the games that you're stringing together.
Yeah, I think we've won our last 6 on the bounce, but like I said, we said when we knew when we come down that recruitment was going to be key in the summer, and we feel as though we've done that well in the summer, and then we're getting the rewards from it. We had a bit of a shaky start, drew a couple of games, lost one at Tilbury through a couple of individual errors, and some people were writing us off, but it takes a bit of time to gel, especially when you make the influx of players we had in the summer, and we made some big changes. And like I say, it's early days still. We know there's teams around us got games in hands, but all we can do is keep doing what we're doing at the moment.
And your goal difference is not so bad as well, 9 superior to the team directly below you, and George Sykes has scored 11 of those. You must be delighted with his form.
Yeah, like I say, George went to Braintree in the summer, and for whatever reason it weren't to be, but he shows a sort of stamp of Canvey Island Football Club for him to come back down. We know he's too good to the level, but he's joining his football. He's got a smile on his face. We've got a good bunch of lads in that change room this year, and like I say, we're getting a reward from it. But so we're scoring goals. We've got a lot of firepower in our side, and believe it or not, we've had the bare bones over the last 6 weeks as well. And to get 6 wins on the bounce with the injury hit we've had throughout the squad, and they're all just coming back to full fitness now. So hopefully that will push us on even more.
Saturday's game is scheduled to be the Danny Green Community Day. Lots going on for that with coaching sessions and a lot of money raised for a good cause as well. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, obviously the Danny Green funds, obviously I live on Canvey as well, so it's a big part of the community, and terrible thing that happened. Obviously a young lad that played in our youth section obviously died with a brain tumour, and his parents, Chris and Lisa, obviously we've made the Danny Green Fund our main charity club, and they work very closely with us as well, and obviously they're all Canvey people, so it should be a special day Saturday, and hopefully we can get 3 points and to top the day off.
Have your say. Get in touch on social media. Just search official BOTN.
Yeah, Lee, Canvey Island relegated last year. Danny's doing a good job with them. They're looking really strong.
Yeah, the only time I was against Canvey was when we was in the Romans Prem with Farnborough and went over there, lost 1-0, so I don't really know too much about them. Obviously we played Haringey Borough in the trophy. I thought they were good, to be fair. It was 3-0. I thought they were good going forward. I think I got it wrong that day, if I'm being totally honest. When I get it wrong, I'll say it. We should have just gone at them with our strengths rather than worrying about them. And it might have been a slightly different game. But yeah, that's the only team I've seen in that league and gave a good account of themselves.
Admit that they've expectation. We talked about this when we talked about Canvey Island a few weeks ago. There's expectation at that club that they will bounce straight back up, and it looks like they might do.
Well, the facility is fantastic. Obviously, they've got a good history to them in the FA Cup particularly, and I used to watch them on TV when they done that. I think something King used to be the main backer of that club many moons ago. Big club in the non-league game. Very surprised that they got relegated last season, but thankfully they did, because it might have been us going down as well, Merston. We were dropping like a stone near the back end of that season, but I fancy them to be up there. Obviously, I tipped AFC Hornchurch, and that's interesting between those two. Those two could be fighting it out against each other.
Yeah, we watched that with great interest for the rest of the season. Danny Hill, the Canvey Island manager. From managers to supporters now, and we've got a supporter from each of today's teams on the phone. We'll start with Adam, who is a Whyteleafe fan. Very good afternoon to you, Adam.
Good afternoon.
Feeling confident ahead of today? Your team's doing pretty well at the moment, in third position.
Yeah, no, we're going well. We had a bit of a tough game on Saturday, so not an ideal result there, but it's been a good season so far, so fairly optimistic, but Greenwich will be a tough opposition.
So this is the point in the show. What I try and do is say that you're now the Whyteleafe manager, and ask you if there's something that you change about your team. As supporters, we're always like this. Whoever we support, there's always something maybe that bugs you. There's always something that you think, if I was in charge, I'd change that. This is your opportunity now, Adam, to tell us what you change about the way Whyteleafe play.
I like the way we play. Maybe a little bit more time on the ball, a little bit more possession in games, and maybe a more settled starting 11 is all I can suggest.
Well, fortunately for you, Adam, we have your manager alongside us. So, Lee, interesting thoughts from Adam about your, bit more possession and a bit more consistent starting 11. What's your response to that?
The starting 11, we've got a strong group of players here. So most clubs at levels that are in non-league, especially this league and maybe the league above, have a strong 16 or consistent 16, or I don't. At this club, I've got about 28 players here. So it's hard to have just a starting 11. We have a consistent, if you look at the group, there'll be players there that will start normally through the spine. We try and keep it the same. Right back, left back are the same, the way that we play. But wingers, we've got 4 wingers that we change, and strikers, we've got 4. I've sent one out on loan, so there's 3 into 2 there. And sometimes, you look at Olu in the middle of the park. Olu's played every game this season in the league. And sometimes they need a rest, so he would have got rested when we played certain cup games. So it's not always easy to play that same 11 or same 12.
We'll come back to that in a moment. Hang on there, Adam. Let's go to Lewis, who's a Greenwich Borough fan. Lewis, very good afternoon to you. Are you there, Lewis? Have we got our Greenwich Borough fan on the line? It was Lewis. I don't know if Lewis is still on or not. It looks like Lewis has decided that maybe the weather has put Lewis off today. Lewis, give us a call back if we've cut you off for any reason. Go back to Adam. You made the second point you made there, Adam, was about perhaps a bit more time on the ball. Do you mean to keep possession more?
Yeah, maybe it would be nice to have a bit more possession in games, but the game we've been playing has been pretty effective so far this season, so I can't complain too much.
Let's see if we've got Lewis back in now. Lewis, are you there, Lewis? Doesn't look like we've got our Greenwich Borough fan in. Listen, Adam, thank you ever so much for coming on, and your thoughts have gone straight to the gaffer. Lee, just a prediction before you go, Adam?
I'll go with a 2-1 Whyteleafe win.
Yeah, that's always going to be the way, not to go with your team. Listen, enjoy the game, Adam. Thanks ever so much.
All right, no worries.
Adam, the Whyteleafe fan. Not sure what happened to our Greenwich Borough fan, Lewis. Hopefully everybody makes it safely to the game today. Not too far to come from Greenwich. Right, let's turn our attentions to this game, Mick Sullivan. It's a biggie. We mentioned it at the start. We sort of skirted around it at the start. It's 2 teams that are now looking for promotion this season, one of which we would have really expected to be looking for automatic promotion, the other of which doing incredibly well and now looking above themselves.
Well, he's probably sitting here thinking, really, Greenwich, big budget, big expectation, Whyteleafe, perhaps not got the budget they've got. And I'm talking about budgets, but they do make a difference. And who's doing better out of the two sides? Well, Lee is and Whyteleafe are. It makes it interesting. I fancy that Greenwich are going to come here and want to turn them over. But I know these two. They want to keep winning game after game after game. I just hope it becomes, a spectacle to watch, first and foremost. Obviously, we've got a little wind out there this afternoon, so I hope that doesn't spoil the game. But like anything, do you expect the game to be played with the ball on the floor, or are you expecting it to be up in the air?
It's going to be tough, isn't it? The conditions. The last time I played in wind like this was at VCD, and about 2 years ago, and it was horrendous. Centre half kicked the ball to clear it. It literally hit the halfway line, came back and scored an own goal. It's on YouTube
for the video.
And funny enough, the defender came down here last season, trying to get in the squad. But it was Kamal. He's a good player. But it's going to be hard. That Mick, especially in this, we ain't going to be able to play probably the way that we both want to play because of the conditions. But we'll just wait and see, really.
One final question on the game today I wanted to ask you. Does it make your team talk any easier when it's Greenwich Borough, who are, let's face it, is close to sort of Billericay in this division with the budget they've got? Does that make the team talk a little bit easier for you guys?
It doesn't matter who we're playing. We play to our strengths. We expect them to hit the same levels if they're playing whoever's bottom at the moment or whoever's top at the moment, because like Gary said in his interview, it's about consistency, and that's the word that I used with the group from when I've come in and got my group in together, which the group was really set around about February times, March times, and from last season we had a couple in the season, so it's consistency, and everyone will say that, but it is. So whether we're playing Greenwich or playing the team at the bottom, they have to hit the same levels. So we don't set up any differently.
I look forward to the game this afternoon. As we said, full live commentary from 3 o'clock this afternoon, and of course the Bostik League Show featured game today, Whyteleafe Greenwich Borough, and that will be available for you to watch on our YouTube channel tomorrow. Before we go, we're going to talk a little bit about some stories across the non-league this week, and the place where we're going to have to start is with Leatherhead against Billericay in the FA Cup first round proper, and what an amazing opportunity for two Bostik clubs to be. One of them is going to be in the second round.
Well, first and foremost, when the draw happened, everyone from a Leverett perspective, and maybe Billericay, was pretty much a bit of a deflation, thinking that they were going to get a League One or a League Two side. But then when you start thinking about it, thinking what could happen at the end of this, because both know they can beat each other, as we were at the league game, whereas obviously Billericay went the man down quickly through Paul Gajewski with that tackle, and Leverhead should have won the game but didn't and lost 1-0. So Leverhead would be probably a bit of motivation there to want to put that right. So I think there'd be a bit of motivation in that camp. And then you look at it, obviously Billericay, obviously the rich team in the league. So there's a lot of motivation going Leverhead's way to want to beat Billericay. The other way round might be a bit more difficult, because obviously Glenn and Harry, really good lads as we've met and whatever, but their motivation might be a bit more difficult to do, bearing in mind they've got a lot of players that have been there and done it. That'd be interesting. I'd rather hope that situation helps Leatherhead. Obviously, I am a Leatherhead fan, but I promise everyone I'll be unbiased on the day.
And it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because, like Mick said, they can beat each other, and Leatherhead have got home advantage. It's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out.
Definitely, obviously, Leatherhead will be up for it. Everyone wants to play Billericay. They play up their game, every team that plays them, by 10-15%, just because it's Billericay and the players are playing against the ex-Premier League and international players. So it's it'll be tough for both teams, but I mean, if you look at it, if I'm going to be honest, Billericay, the quality that's there, the pressure that some of them players have played under before in front of 30, 40, 50,000 people, and I'm sure Glenn will get them up for the game.
What'll be interesting, Mick, is that the last round of the FA Cup, Glenn came on and said he's rested Jake Robinson, resting a couple of players for it. The further you get into this competition, the bigger the carrot. I'm sure that there'll be a full-strength Billericay team going to Leatherhead.
Well, no one can be critical of Glenn or Harry in any way, but if he did rest players in that game and they did happen to go out, not that it would worry him from a financial perspective, but for the kudos and where he wants the club to go out the FA Cup to Leatherhead, which obviously could happen, and I'll keep saying it could happen, would be a bit of a disaster from his perspective, I'd say.
And that will be our game on that weekend. On its Sunday, the 5th of November, Leatherhead against Billericay. Let's turn our attention to the team that we watched last week, though, and reflect on that FA Cup draw, Heybridge Swifts. It was interesting watching it on Monday because the likes of, not that Exeter isn't a great draw, but Charlton and Wigan were still in that. They were in the hat right until the end with a lot of big teams, because you kind of knew they were going to get a big E, and they got Exeter City. Massive club. That's going to be a brilliant day out for those players.
It is. I'm rather disappointed it's not a televised game, if I'll be honest about it. I'm very disappointed in the BBC or BT not picking that game up. They could see a step four side there from a southern area. I know they've picked a couple of northern sides, and maybe that is really disappointing for me that BT or BBC didn't pick that game up and so they could get the financial rewards, because probably unlikely they're going to beat Exeter, but you never know, Jody, so I'll just keep it open there, because you never know in football. But at the end of the day, that could have been so much better for them if one of the big networks had picked that game up.
Any other stories away from the FA Cup that you've picked up this week? Mick, non-league has been pretty much all about the FA Cup this week with that draw on Monday.
It's quiet. I mean, just a couple of ones. Obviously, we're sitting, not nervously, but anticipating who the new Kingstonian manager is going to be. So from that perspective, being a local non-league person, I can't wait to see who they choose, because I expect there have been a fair few put their hat in the ring for that one. Obviously, just to mention, if I didn't mention before, but Steve King obviously been out of the game for a little bit, but a good non-league supporter is obviously taken over at Whitehawk, and he's playing my old friend and our friend Alan Dowson today. So that's Whitehawk against Hampton Richmond. So, and the last bit I didn't mention, but with Needham Market, they've had a bit of a sort of catastrophic sort of situation happen there with their rivalry going to Brighton to see his manager, and then Mark Morley, who was the chairman and ex-manager with him last season, going to OC Sudbury. So it seems to be quite interesting what's happening at Needham Market there, which is a good club, and they looked after us really well up there. But that must be a lot of things happening behind the scenes there, and that's why I think their league forms sort of dropped quite drastically.
Mick, thank you ever so much for today. Producers Remy and Luke, Dara as well on the show, and a big thank you to Lee and Koo for coming on for 2 hours with us, and best of luck for the game this afternoon. It's going to be fascinating to watch.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Prediction before we just go off air from both of you, please.
So they're never going to go against their own team, are they?
9-0.
No, it's the score.
9-0. No,
9-0. You're doing a Hayden on that.
I'm saying it'll be tough, and I'm not sitting on the fence, but because of the conditions, it literally, I don't know. Yeah.
Right, we'll end it there. That's good enough for us. Thank you ever so much for listening and watching. Don't forget, full show available to watch throughout the week, and of course, Bostik League show tomorrow.
Back of the Net, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do. Head to backofthenet.south.co.uk tomorrow morning for video highlights and full match reaction of today's games. Back of the Net, where it matters.